Hi everyone. So I think we will start our session right now. So I think it's a good time already. I think whoever want to join us already joined. So we will start. All right. So I hope everyone can grab your notebook, your pen, or anything for you if you let's say you want to jot down. Okay. So we'll start our session today. Hi everyone. My name is Muhammad Fazri Muhammad Iqbal. I'm from Wisoft Solution. I'm the business development team. At the same time, I'm Wisoft Solution Consultant. A little bit about me lah. So for the past, I think almost a year right now, I've been going around to do seminars all over Malaysia. We travel from state to state to do seminars, and then also every week I held a invoicing seminar lah. What I'm doing right now. Okay. So before we start our session today, I would like to know you guys a little bit. All right. So, can you guys type in the chat box, what are your business background and what are you working as? Let's say you have like a construction company, you're working as a finance or anything. Can let me know in the chat box right now, everyone, so that I will have better understanding of your background lah. All right. All right. Daphne is an admin. All right. Other than that, other participants? The participant, please let me know your background as well, admin, finance, or anything, or business owners. If let's say there is any business owner, please let me know. And also, let me check. I think our session today is in Bahasa Melayu, right? So I need to use Bahasa Melayu lah. Okay. So, ada lagi tak? Anyone else? Semua diam ni. Okay, so I don't think so I have any other response. So, mungkin kita boleh mula dengan our session lah, eh. Alright. Other than that, can I know how many of you guys? Oh, okay. Wealth. Wealth too. You responded. Personally, that too. You need to change back. Travel and tour company, event company. I am finance manager. Alright, alright. Nice to know that as well. Okay, so later on, I'll be asking a lot more question. I akan tanya lagi banyak soalan later. So I hope you guys can respond to me. Wait, okay. Before that, you guys prefer session hari ni nak bahasa Melayu ataupun English ah? Because I want to check with the participant as well. You guys prefer dalam bahasa Melayu ataupun English? Do let me know in the chat box. Better in English. Both. Alright. English, both. Okay. So I think I'll be mixing lah. I'll be mixing English and BM. So I'll do mainly in English and then kalau perlukan explanation dalam BM, I will be giving in BM. Alright? Okay. Sure. Okay. We will start with our session today. Hi everyone, good afternoon again. My name is Fazri Iqbal from Wisoft Solution. Okay, so for today's session, we will actually learn about LHD and invoicing. Alright, so I know you guys have heard about invoicing and know that this thing is already started and you guys are gonna be a part of it soon. So we will go through our session today. And also in our session today, mainly our part is actually we're gonna see the theoretical part of e-invoicing. What is actually invoicing, how to deal with it, whatever you have to know inside it and so on lah. Alright? Okay, so first of all, when we talk about invoice in general, okay, invoice in general. Okay, so these are the form which we know invoices are. Before this, our invoices, if let's say we talk about invoice, it will be in PDF, document, JPEG, and so on. Okay, ni adalah bentuk-bentuk invoice sebelum ni. But however, when e-invoicing start, bila invoicing dah start, we will no more see in this kind of form. Your e-invoices will be in XML and also JSON form, which will be sent straight away to LHDN. Okay, so you punya invoice, bila kita dah bermula bercakap tentang invoice, dia akan datang dalam bentuk XML dan juga JSON yang mana akan dihantar terus ke LHDN. Okay, so dalam our session today, kita akan belajar e-invoice in different aspect lah, such as concept, process, what is needed inside the invoicing, how are you dealing with self-bill e-invoice, what is consolidated e-invoice, and then we will also talk about at the end of the session, we will see how easy it is actually to use e-invoicing for if let's say you're using SQL. Okay, that is gonna be one of our parts lah for today. Alright. Okay. So first of all, e-invoicing is a digital representation of a transaction between a supplier and a buyer. So, if we are talking about invoices before this, what is invoice? Okay, if you ask yourself, what is invoice? Invoice is actually like a proof of transaction between a supplier and a buyer, a form of proof, right? Well, but when we're talking about e-invoicing, the extra added important word over here is a digital representation. Okay, so whatever our invoice purpose before this, when we're talking about e-invoicing, the purpose maintains or remains the same. But however, the word digitalize, so it means all of these invoices, the normal invoices we have been doing, but in a form that it is already being digitalized. Alright? Okay. E-invoicing will be replacing paper and also electronic documents on the invoices, credit note, debit notes, and also refund note. Okay. E-invoicing ni, walaupun nama dia hanya e-invoicing, the name is only e-invoicing, but however, it includes invoice, credit note, debit notes, and also refund note. Okay. Dia termasuk dengan invoice, credit note, debit notes, dan juga refund notes. Okay. E-invoicing also enables near to real-time validation and storage of transaction catering to B2B, B2C, and also B2G. Okay, what it meant by this? Okay, I'll make the explanation in English first, okay? Okay, enables near to real-time validation. Okay, imagine yourself as a supplier, and then your client come and buy something from you, and then you need to issue your e-invoice. When you want to issue for your e-invoice, you either using a API or using my invoice portal, okay? You sebagai seorang supplier, bila your buyer minta e-invoice daripada you yang kena, what you call that? Create the invoice. You yang kena create the invoice. So, proses ni daripada you submit invoice, you submitted your invoice either using my invoice portal or using API such as SQL and so on. In 2 to 3 seconds from the time you submit tu kan, about 2 to 3 seconds from the time you submit, our LHDM will capture that e-invoice and will validate that invoice and send back to you. Dia akan capture you punya invoice, dia akan validate, bagi ada QR code and then send it back to you. And all of this process only take around 2 to 3 seconds. And then you will get a validated e-invoice already. So this is what is meant by enables near to real-time validation. Inilah apa yang dimasukkan dengan near to real-time validation. Okay, so catering to B2B, B2C, and also B2G. Okay, so if our government trying to implement something, surely kena ada benefit for us lah, will have benefit for us. So first of all, before I go into the benefit, can I ask you guys, how many of you guys already using a system and what kind of system you guys are using? If let's say you don't have a system, also let me know. Just let me know in the chat box. Wealth is using SQL. Wealth, you are still messaging in the private one. You can change to main chat. Okay, Daphne is using SQL. I need to know if let's say everyone is using SQL, also let me know so I know where to skip, where to explain more and so on. Do let me know in the chat box. Everyone else. If let's say you're using a system or not, please let me know. Only Daphne, other Daphne and Wealth, other people, please let me know. Not yet use any software. Okay, Olivia is not using any software yet. Karen is using SQL. Okay, others, at least one or two more so I can draw a conclusion. Okay, Ecotech soon using SQL. Anyone else? Okay, I don't think so. I have any other response. Okay, all right. So if let's say you are already using a system, especially SQL, you should know that the process for you to produce an invoice is already easy. Ah, so the same with using e-invoice in the SQL. Okay, it's about the same. The process is that seamless. Okay, for those who haven't used software yet, you must find the hustle of producing invoices and so on. But when you're using a system, the process will become more seamless. That is the first one. Secondly, is actually reduce loss of document. Okay, so our invoicing work in a way that all of our invoices will be kept in the e-invoice database. Okay, semua e-invoice kita akan disimpan dalam e-invoicing punya database, LHDM punya database lah. So if let's say you lost that document, even though if let's say you lost that document, you hilang you punya invoices and so on, you can still retrieve your invoice inside of our LHDN database. You can always retrieve that. Okay, the third one, facilitate the tax filing process. Okay, later on in the data field, you will see there is a part called classification. Okay, so under the classification part, if let's say you put your purpose of receiving or paying money in the correct data field, so in the correct classification, such as donation or anything, when you want to do the tax refund later on, it will be much, much way easier. Okay, the third one and number four is actually cost time saving and also reduces human error lah. But if let's say kita bercakap tentang cost and time saving only, if let's say kalau you are using a system, it's already time saving lah. But for the part of reducing human error, mengurangkan ralat manusia, reducing human error, in invoicing later on in the process, you will see both parties, supplier and buyer, have the power to detect if let's say there is anything wrong with the invoice. Okay? So that's about the benefit of e-invoicing. Okay, who need to issue e-invoice? Siapa yang perlu terlibat dalam e-invoice? Okay, so I will give around 10 second, 20 second for you guys to read the list first and I'll make a conclusion from the list. Okay, so from this list, what I can conclude is, if let's say you're inside a business or you are anything related to a business, apa-apa jenis perniagaan, you are included inside of the e-invoicing. Alright? Okay. So the next question is invoice is only on invoices. I think this one I gave the answer before this already. Even though the name is e-invoicing, but it is not for invoices only. Okay. So it include invoice, credit note, debit note, and also refund notes. Alright? Okay, next. Can I skip e-invoice? This one is another big question. Boleh tak saya terlepas daripada invoice? Boleh tak saya tak terikut sama dalam e-invoicing ni? By the way, is there any business owner inside our session today? Any business owners? 5 second. Any business owner, please let me know. Okay, Olivia, Karen. Okay, so we have two business owners over here. All right. So for business owners, you guys need to pay attention to this part. All right. Okay. Wait, let me change this one. You need to pay attention to this. Okay, why I say so? Okay, can I skip the e-invoice? Actually, our government had already implemented a act lah, on this. All right, the duty to issue electronic invoice. If let's say you need to comply with the e-invoicing, but you are not complying with the e-invoicing, you can be penalized from 200 ringgit up to 20,000 ringgit, or imprisonment not more than 6 months. So for business owners, please know that you can actually be penalized if let's say you need to comply with invoicing but you do not. Okay. Same goes to what we call any workers inside a company. If let's say your boss don't want to comply, don't worry lah. Just send him lah into the prison. No worry. You can relax. If let's say your boss don't want to comply lah. Alright? Okay. When it should be implemented? This is another big question. Okay. So when we first talk about e-invoice, way a months ago, and also I think about a year ago already. Okay. This is the phases that our government say. Okay, this is the phases. If let's say these are the phases, by next month, by in few days, e-invoice will already start fully already. But however, our government have already like changed the timeline for few times, and this is the final timelines. So we are done with the phase 1 and phase 2. Next, we are actually starting with the phase 3. Okay, so phase 3 are for taxpayer with turnover rate or revenue around starting from 5 million up to 25 million. And then number 4, phase 4 is starting for businesses which are from above 1 million to up to 5 million, so before 5 million. And finally, for taxpayer with annual turnover rate or revenue up to 1 million. Alright. So can you guys let me know you guys are in which phase? I need to know. Please let me know in the chat box. What is your phases? Wait, phase 4. Okay. Oh, we have a phase 3 for your wealth. Phase 4. Okay, others? So I have phase 3, phase 4, phase 3 again. Phase 3. Oh, a lot of phase 3 over here, huh? Okay, so let me tell something to you guys. If let's say you guys are in phase 3, okay? In phase 3, which will start in few days. I hope you guys already have a system. I hope you guys already have a system. And also in phase 4. You know why? The process of e-invoicing, if let's say you have a system, then only it will be very easy for you guys. Okay? Because later on, I'll be showing to you guys. It is actually a hassle, I can say to you. It's a lot of hassle for you guys to produce an e-invoice without using a system. Without using a system, it's a lot of a hassle. Okay? Okay, we'll go to the next slide. Okay, people or person exempted from e-invoicing. I know this one is also very exciting for you guys, hoping that you guys can actually not include it inside the invoicing, right? Okay, but no worries. No worries. I will show you guys the list, okay? Okay, so I'll give you guys around, I think, 20 to 30 seconds just to read through this, and then I'll conclude it for you guys, okay? Okay. So, if you guys already read these, I will conclude something for you guys from this slide. Okay, so basically, anything that is government related. Doesn't matter like if let's say summon or you pay for a rental for a government hall or you go to government clinic or so on. All of these things would not be providing you with any invoicing because they are not included inside the e-invoicing. The next one is actually any business related outside of Malaysia. They are not they do not have to comply with our e-invoicing system. And finally, D, what I will conclude over here and very, very important point is anyone who is not conducting business, anyone who is not conducting business do not have to comply with e-invoicing. Always remember this. If let's say you are not dealing with the person that you are dealing with is not actually doing business, even though you paid money to him or her, they do not have to provide you with any invoice. How you want to tackle that? You will have to do self-bill. What is self-bill? I will explain later. Okay? Okay, so just now we are already done with the what we call as the concept of e-invoicing. So if let's say you guys are okay with the concept of e-invoicing, please type A in the chat box. If let's say you guys are okay, please type A in the chat box. You guys understand just now everything? If let's say okay, understand everything, please type A in the chat box. I want to see. All right, type A. Okay, well, okay. Others, if let's say okay, please type A so I can continue our session. Hey, only one person ah. Others, please type A in the chat box. Okay, Olivia. Okay, so that I know you guys are still here. Olivia A. Others, please. Okay, Daphne and Karen also responded. So we will continue our session. Okay. All right, so we're done with the concept of the invoicing. Right now, we're gonna go into the process of the invoicing. Okay, so when we're gonna go into the process, I will give 1 minute for you guys to read through everything, and then we will continue our session. All right. Okay, so I think we can continue already. I hope you guys already read through this. Why I will always ask you guys to read through first, because it will be much easier for you guys to understand after you guys read it through, and then I explain things to you guys. Okay? Okay. So we're gonna talk about the process of the e-invoicing. Okay. So right now I want you guys to imagine you guys as a supplier. Okay? Imagine you guys as a supplier, and then your buyer come and bought something from you already. Okay? You have a transaction between you and your buyer already. And then you have to issue an e-invoice because your buyer requested that. Okay? So how are we gonna do this right now? Okay. So first of all, remember that you as a supplier, you are obliged, or you are the one who have to issue the e-invoice. Okay, you have to issue the e-invoice. How you want to issue invoice? Either using my invoice portal, okay, either using my invoice portal or using the API. Okay, what is API? API is actually a system for you to do your invoice lah. What is those systems such as SQL? Okay, the first one. You as a supplier, you need to issue the e-invoice. Okay. After that, what happened? Once you issue the e-invoice will be sent to LHDN straight away from the system. Straight away will go to LHDN. And LHDN will do validation on your e-invoice. They will check everything and then will validate your e-invoice. Okay. After the validation, what will happen is actually both party, supplier and buyer, they will both receive a notification saying that this kind of transaction already happened. Okay. You already, your supplier already submit for this type of transaction. Okay, usually this type of notification you will receive that via what we call that email. Okay, you will receive that by email. Okay, after you receive the notification, what will happen over here is you as a supplier, okay, you are obliged to share your e-invoice with your buyer. Supplier mandatory have to share your e-invoice with your buyer. Always remember this, okay? Okay. After that, what happened? Number 5, rejection or cancellation. Okay, when you already share that with your buyer, right? Okay, at this point, both supplier and buyer, okay, you both supplier and buyer, both of you guys can check through your e-invoice. Okay, check. When you guys checking, right? Okay, at this point, you guys can, if let's say you find any mistake inside the invoicing, okay, if let's say there is any mistake, don't care lah. If let's say it is in the amount or the supplier name or any kind of mistake, okay, you as a supplier, you have the power to cancel the e-invoice you already created. Okay, you can cancel the invoice you already created. And you, if let's say as a buyer, you are the buyer, you have the power to reject that invoice that already being created for you. Okay, supplier and buyer both have the power to reject or also cancel the invoice. All right. But however, you need to give the class the reason why you are actually rejecting or cancelling that e-invoice. Okay. And finally, if let's say there is nothing wrong with your e-invoice, everything is there and correct and all, so you don't have to worry. You can check for your summary inside of the my invoice portal itself. You can go through the my invoice portal and then you can check. Okay. So wait. So basically, that's the flow lah, the flow of the process of the e-invoice. Start with the supplier issue the e-invoice and then validated from the LHDN and then notification you will receive and then sharing of the invoice supplier you share to your buyer and then you check for the invoice and finally the summary of the invoice lah. Alright. Okay, next. Just now we say right, there is two way. There is two way for you to do your e-invoice. The first one is actually via my invoice portal, and the second one is actually via API, or what is SPI is actually a system. Okay. So right now, we're gonna talk about or we're gonna discuss about what is actually my invoice portal and what is API. I will give both pro and cons of using API and also my invoice portal. Okay. All right. So my invoice, we'll start with my invoice portal first. Okay, my invoice portal, the pros of using my invoice portal is actually, what is that? It is actually free lah. Okay, you don't have to pay any money to use my invoice portal. It is a government portal they provided for us to do the e-invoice. Okay, for free. But that is the pro of using my invoice portal. But however, when we're talking about the cons of using my invoice portal, this is the part where it gets tricky lah. Okay. My invoice portal is a web-based portal from our government. Okay. So when we're talking about web-based, when you want to submit for an e-invoice, okay? You want to do for e-invoice, you have to put in around 55 data field. You need to fill in 55 data field for you to produce a single e-invoice. Only one single e-invoice, but you need to do 55 data field. Okay, so when or okay, let's say like when you want to submit for a single invoice, you already put in the 55 data field. The next time, even though you want to do for the same client, all right, for the same client, you need to key sorry, you need to key in again one by one the 55 data field just for you to do the same e-invoice for the same person. Because the web won't remember a thing. They won't remember anything inside the my invoice portal. Okay. So the process to key in the 55 data field is also time consuming. Okay, let me tell you guys, it is time consuming. Okay, so that is the pro and cons of using my invoice portal. But next, we're gonna talk about the API. What is API? API are a system like you guys using, such as SQL. So what are the cons? I will start with the cons first of using my invoice portal. Okay. So the cons of using my invoice portal is, you have to pay lah for the system. The system, you have to buy the SQL. But however, the pro that comes with it is very, very good. Okay. Because you know why? If let's say you're already using SQL, you should know how easy it's actually to do the e-invoice. Okay. To do the invoice in general. It's very easy. So the extra step for you to create the e-invoice is just a single button. You need to click a single button extra. That's all. You don't have to put in the 55 data field and so on. That is how easy it's actually for you to do e-invoice. Yeah. So later on, I will show you guys in detail for this. Okay? Wait, All right. So in this flow, I would say, okay, we already basically discussed everything in this flow lah, the flow of how to want to produce the invoice and so on. But however, in this slide, I want you guys to pay attention at the number 8 over there, the storing of e-invoice. Okay. So, like I said just now, right? Okay, our data will all be kept inside the LHDN database. But however, before it go inside the LHDN database, before it go inside there, it will go through the LHDN cloud first. Okay, the cloud first. Okay, so after 3 days, when you already submit your invoice and everything will be kept inside the LHDN cloud first. After 3 days of 72 hours, it doesn't matter that 72 hours including the public holiday, weekend, whatever day, it doesn't matter. After 72 hours sharp, your e-invoice will travel from the LHDN cloud to the LHDN database. Okay, what happened when it's already entered the LHDN database? Okay, so basically, when it's entered there, you cannot do any alteration into your e-invoice anymore. On your e-invoice, you cannot do any alteration. So it means if let's say there is anything wrong there, you cannot alter anymore. So the only thing that you can do is you can do CN. You can only do CN from there. But however, if let's say you have too many CN, after 2 months, our government will come and find you and then will ask, knock your door and then ask, what is your problem? Why is there is so many CN? Why there is so many CN? What you trying to hide from us? Okay, so we don't want that thing to happen. And luckily, our system, okay, SQL have a gray area that they found. Okay, so our system work in a way that it will consolidate all of your e-invoice and will submit that actually at the end of the month. But however, you will still get a validated e-invoice. Alright, you will still get validated invoice. In other words, you will have 1 month. You will have 1 month for you to do any alteration on your e-invoice. Okay, alright. I hope that is clear. Okay, this one is for you just to get your TIN number lah. But however, I hope all of you guys already have your TIN number because TIN number is the heart of e-invoicing. I always say this. TIN number is the heart of e-invoicing. Why is that? Because every time you want to do an e-invoice, you always need a TIN number. Okay, inside our system as well, in our SQL system, we already have 1.346 million TIN number registered inside there. 1.346 million TIN number. Wait, Okay, 1.346 million TIN number already registered inside there. This TIN number is actually synced to our LHDM database. It is synced. Our LHDM database that have that, we will also have. What are the benefit of having this? Okay, if let's say you want to do a business later or you want to do a deal with someone, but you do not have their TIN number, you can actually go through our SQL system and just search for their TIN number. So it will be much easier lah. The process will be much easier. Okay. Okay, with that, just now we also done with the process of the e-invoice. Okay, so after we done with the process of the e-invoice right now, I will give you guys a 5 minute break. If let's say you want to go toilet, want to drink or anything, 2 to 3 minutes lah. Sorry lah, not 5 minutes lah. 2 to 3 minutes for you guys to rest first, and then we will continue with the e-invoicing data parameter. Okay. Alright, so I hope you guys had enough rest. Already go to the toilet and everything. It's already 2 to 3 minutes. Already, right? I think okay lah, we can continue. Okay. So right now, we're gonna go into the e-invoicing data parameter. Okay, data parameter is basically whatever it is actually needed inside the e-invoicing system. What type of data you need inside there? What are the specification for the data? All of that we will learn inside the data parameter. Okay. Okay, so e-invoicing data parameter, there are 55 data fields that are required to issue an e-invoice, and these data fields are grouped into 8 categories. Okay. Alright, so such as address, contact number, invoice details, and so on lah. It also, inside that, we have a data catalog. Okay, so the data catalog, you have this 9 data catalog lah. Also the type of data that you need to fill in inside there, the data catalog. Alright, so first of all is actually MSIC code. What is MSIC code? MSIC code is actually a Malaysian Standard Industrial Code. Okay, Malaysian Standard Industrial Code means what the Malaysian Standard Industrial Code tells you what is your business nature. What is the business nature of that company? What are they doing? Okay, if let's say you're dealing with someone doing sugar, maybe producing sugar. So they might have to deal with someone who is actually growing sugarcane. So under the MSIC code, they need to put 01140. Okay. Here I would like to emphasize, anyone without a system, they have to memorize all of the codes that you see on your left side right now. You see all of those codes, 01133, 01134. Okay, you need to memorize this code. You know why? Because later on, when you want to do e-invoicing, if let's say using my invoice portal, you need to key in one by one the the codes. The codes one by one, you need to memorize and put in the codes. Because you cannot type whatever the data is, you need to put in the codes. Okay, so that one is for MSIC code. Next is e-invoice type. E-invoice type is basically the what kind of invoice you're doing lah, either invoices, credit note, debit notes, or anything lah. Okay, later just now before this I say there is only 4 types of e-invoice, right? But actually there are another 4, which are self-bill invoice, self-bill credit note, self-bill debit note, and also self-bill refund note. What is self-bill? I will let you guys know later on, okay? Okay, next is currency code. If let's say you're dealing with businesses outside of Malaysia with different currency, you need to also put in the currency code lah. Alright? And next is classification. Okay, this is the important one. Remember just now when I say that you need to put in the correct classification in order for you, it is easier for you later on to do tax refund and so on. This is it, the classification. So like I said just now, in order for you to make it easier for you to do the e-invoice, if let's say you have a system, such as SQL, you don't have to key in all of this. The system itself will recognize what is this for. Okay, the system itself will recognize. So if let's say you do not have a system, make sure you put in the correct code. There is actually a lot of code. I will show you for you the classification only. See, all of this code need to be memorized for you just to put in the correct classification. Okay. And also I forgot to tell you guys this now. If let's say you want the recording for today's session and also the slide for today's session, you can request from the WhatsApp that contacted you guys for today's session. Okay. Alright, next is tax type. Tax type. If let's say your business impose any tax, you need to also include that code and how many percent of the tax that you implies. Okay, next is payment mode. What is the mode of payment? Cash, bank transfer, credit card, or anything, you need to also put inside there. Next is country of origin. If let's say you're dealing with outside of Malaysia, again, you need to put which from where you are dealing with the businesses with. Okay, next is state. If let's say you're dealing interstate kind of business, maybe from Penang to outside of Penang or something, you need to also include the states. And finally, and not finally, this one finally lah. Unit of measurement. I always like to emphasize on this, the unit of measurement, because unit of measurement is very important. Okay, very important. So if let's say you don't have a system, then you have to memorize each and every of this code. So because if this is wrong, then all of your invoice will be wrong already. Because unit of measurement, right? Very important. Okay. So these are all of the unit of measurements. Okay, next we're gonna talk about T number again. Okay, remember before this I said T number is the heart of the invoicing. Okay, so this is it. Okay, if let's say in some situation where you deal with your buyers and so on, but they do not have any T number, there will be a situation. Let's say you're dealing with people who do not have a business, or maybe you're dealing with outside of Malaysia. These people won't have any T number. So what you gonna do? Okay, always remember this thing. In any situation where you have to produce an e-invoice, but the person you're dealing with do not provide you with TIN number or do not have any TIN number, always plug in the general TIN number. This is the purpose of the general TIN number. Okay? You need to plug in. You see lah, if let's say they are a public Malaysian, just like normal public Malaysian buyer, you put the TIN number as EI 000010. If let's say you are you're selling something for to outside of Malaysia, you put the TIN number as EI 000020. If let's say you are buying something from outside of Malaysia, you'll put the TIN number EI 000030 and so on. Okay? So this is the general TIN number lah basically. Remember, in any situation you do not have any TIN number to put in, put the general TIN number. Okay, right now, I'm gonna show you guys the 55 data field that you guys need to fill in to produce a single e-invoice if let's say you guys do not have a system. I will just go through. Okay, I will just go through this. I'll just slide through and then you guys have a look like how much of it is actually for the 55 data field. Okay? Okay, ready and go. Until number 55. So these are all the datas that you need to put in order for you to produce a single e-invoice. Okay, one single invoice, this much of data. The next time you want to do for, even though for the same person, you need to put in all of this data all over again inside the system. Yeah, this is the hustle that I've been talking about just now. I say like the 55 data field, 55 data field, right? This is it. Okay, this is the data fields. So it is a lengthy process just for you to produce a single invoice. Okay, so that's why I say there is a very big difference for you with using a system and without using a system to produce an e-invoice. Okay, next, we're gonna look into scenarios right now. The first scenario is where the buyer requires an e-invoice. So your buyer come to you and want to buy something from you and they requested for the e-invoice. So what you're gonna do is if let's say for Malaysian, you have to have their name, IC number, or both name, IC number, and also T number lah. If let's say they are non-Malaysian, you need a T number or both T number and also passport number. Okay, in situation that your buyer come to you, want to buy something and requested for invoice, but only give you their TIN number. They give their name, their TIN number, but don't have any IC number. For the IC number, you put 0 for 12 times. 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0 for 12 times, just like our IC number. Okay, that is the first way. If let's say your buyer come to you, requested for invoice, but only provide you with IC number. Okay, with IC number. So you have, sorry, you have the name, the IC number, but you do not have the TIN number. So what you gonna do? Remember when I say, whenever you do not have any TIN number to be put in from your customer, always use the general TIN number. Remember that. No TIN number means put a general TIN number. Alright? Next. Okay, so this is an example of a real and a validated e-invoice. Okay, a real or validated invoice. So you will see there are three main components that you need to see. The first one, you have the T number, and then you will have the QR code down there. It means it's already being validated. Okay, the number means it's already being validated. And finally, I want to emphasize and show you guys. You see on the left, the lowest part of the left, your left, which is the digital signature. You guys can see, right, the digital signature. Okay, digital signature is actually something that you have to buy if let's say you do not have a system. You have to buy. You know why? Because this digital signature is actually like a signature lah for your company, saying that this is actually coming out from your company. Okay, this is actually coming out from your company, and the number always change for each and every of your invoices. It will change. Without a system, you will have to buy this digital signature, and the price for the digital signature is actually 1,500 ringgit per year. Every year you have to buy this digital signature from a provider company lah. There are companies that will be providing you with the digital signature for 1,500 ringgit each year. Okay. But however, if let's say you are SQL user, you bought our e-invoicing module, then you do not have to worry because SQL bundle in this inside our system. We provide this for free for you. So you don't have to worry about the digital signature anymore. This is another plus. If let's say you buy SQL system, you can save lah. 1,500 ringgit per year is quite a lot as well. It's almost to the price for you to buy a system already. So it's very, very affordable. Okay, next, SST lah. So for each of your what we say, e-invoice, you need to include in the SST number as well. Okay, now we're gonna go into the second scenario where your buyer does not require an e-invoice. Your buyer buy from you, but they do not require any e-invoice. Okay, so now we will talk about consolidated e-invoice. What is consolidated? Consolidated means gathered. Okay, gathered e-invoice. That is what is consolidated. Okay, so I will give you guys around 20 to 30, around 1 minute lah, for you guys to go through this slide first, and then I'll explain. All right, so I hope you guys already go through this. This is basically what we discussed just now. We already discussed this. But right now, I want you guys to pay attention at scenario 2. Alright. Where your buyer does not require an e-invoice, what you will do. Sorry, I'm coughing today. Okay, if let's say your buyer does not require any e-invoice, what you will do is, you as a supplier, you would issue normal receipt, like usually how you do your receipt, right? Your invoice, your receipt per usual you do. And then you collect all of your receipt, and then at the end of the month, you create a single consolidated e-invoice. Okay? You go through everything again, and then you create one single e-invoice only. Okay, one single e-invoice only. Okay, so if let's say you want to create a consolidated invoice, you will not have names, IC number, T number, and all right. So for the name, you just put general public. The T number will be EI00010, and for the IC and whatever data, IC, buyer registration, passport number, email, so on, just put an A and A and A only. All right. Okay. So this is the example of a consolidated e-invoice. This is the first way, which is you represent it in a single line. You see the red line over there. One e-invoice over here. But you can see under the description there are few bills number. So it means they already consolidated the few bills into a single e-invoice, consolidated invoice. That is the first way. The second way is actually represented in separate lines. So I mean you have few lines over there already created lah. This one for separated lines usually, all right? Usually for those who let's say have few branches and so on, so they will have to put like one branch, one line like that lah. All right? Okay. But however, consolidated e-invoice is not for everyone. Okay, there are people and also businesses that cannot do a consolidated e-invoice. Who are those people, and what businesses or activity they are in? This one lah. If let's say you are inside the automotive, all right, you are inside the automotive, aviation, luxury good and jewelry, and then construction, or wholesalers and retailers of construction material, license painting and gaming, and also if let's say payment for your agents or dealers or distributor, all of these they cannot do any consolidated e-invoice. Okay, they cannot do consolidated invoice. But however, during the first 6 months of of you doing the invoice, like the first 6 months of your what we say, your period lah, it is called actually relaxation period. Okay, so during this relaxation period, these businesses can still do consolidated e-invoice. Okay, the first 6 months only, but after the 6 months you cannot do any consolidated e-invoice anymore. All right. Okay, these are business under frequency billing. Um, um, Frequency billing lah, what I would say. Okay, so basically, if let's say you're dealing with digital or electronic payment, financial institutions, healthcare, insurance, stockbroking, telecommunications such as DG, TNB, and so on, these people would not be providing you with any e-invoice. Okay, they do not have to provide you with any invoice. They will just give you like your monthly bills only, right? Okay, so you take the monthly bill. After the payment, you get the receipt, right? You just use the receipt for any claiming or anything for e-invoice, right? If let's say you want to do for your company, if let's say you want to pay DG or anything or the insurance, you just take the receipt. You just take the receipt. You don't have to worry about anything. Okay? Okay, next we're gonna talk about payment on behalf. Payment on behalf will have disbursement and also reimbursement. Okay, we will look into disbursement first. Okay, so let's say the product, okay, the product of something is actually from the supplier one. okay, but will be sent straight away to the buyer. But however, the payment was made by the buyer, supplier two. Supplier two made the payment on behalf of the buyer. Okay, this situation might happen if let's say you're dealing with the government or the NGOs. Okay, this situation might happen. So what you're gonna do is actually supplier one will issue the invoice straight away to the buyer, to the final buyer. But however, the payment will be made by the supplier too. Okay, in this situation, you just the e-invoice will be between supplier one and the buyer. But however, under the classification, you need to put under disbursement. Okay, okay, that'll be all for that. Okay. Next, we're gonna talk about, do you think the e-invoice is only on sale? How about proof of income? Okay, always remember this. E-invoicing is not only for transactions such as sales. Okay, not only for transactions such as sales. E-invoicing include about proving your income, proving the money that you receive from other businesses and so on. Okay? Okay, now we're gonna talk about self-bill. What is self-bill? Okay, I will give you guys around 20 seconds just to read through these words, and then I'll give the explanation behind self-bill. Okay? Okay, so now we're gonna talk about self-bill. I hope you guys already read through this. I will give an easier explanation behind this. Okay, self-bill is a bill or an e-invoice that you created when you are in a situation that you paid your money to someone, but you cannot get an e-invoice from that person. Okay, you already created your, you already get paid the money or received the money. Remember, already paid the money or received the money, but however, you cannot get any e-invoices. Okay, in this situation, you will have to do a self-bill e-invoice. What are the situation where you have to do self-bill? Okay, this situation include if let's say the person you are dealing with is not doing any business, so they cannot provide you with any invoice. Second one is actually you're dealing with people outside of Malaysia. Okay, if let's say they are from outside of Malaysia, they cannot provide you with any invoice. And the third one, if let's say you have to pay to your agent, dealers, and also distributors. These people also cannot provide you with any invoice. So you have to do self-bill e-invoice for them. Okay? Okay, payment agents, this one is the number four lah that I say, agent, dealers, and distributors. Okay? Okay, so this is an example. If let's say I give you a case study lah. Okay, I have a friend. Okay, I have a friend that have a business. Okay, his business is actually selling used car. Okay, sports used car. Okay, he have that business. But however, I'm not working for his company. But however, I go to him and then I say, bro, I'm not working for your company, but I want to help to sell your car. If let's say I manage to sell your car, can I get some commission? And then your friend also say, okay lah, can lah. You sell my car. If let's say you manage to do so, and then I give you commission lah. And then I already managed to sell the car. Okay, I'm able to sell the car. So right now, what I'm gonna do is actually I already received the money lah. I sell the car and then I get the money already. Now the company have to prove that they actually paid me the money. They have to prove it. So how they want to do it? They have to do a self-bill e-invoice. They have to self-bill to themselves, showing that they have to pay the money for your service. So this e-invoice you see on your screen right now is the example of the self-bill e-invoice. Okay. Wait, How about office cleaner? Datang bersihkan our office seminggu sekali and then kemudian bayar cash. You have to self-bill lah. Also self-bill this one. Self-bill because if like, but you need to see lah, the cleaner, do they work for a company? If let's say they are working for a company, you hire them from a company, then you have to do e-invoice lah from that company. If let's say she is just like a normal worker, like don't have a company or anything, then you have to self-bill to show that you paid that money. Okay? Okay, next we're gonna talk about cross-border transaction. Okay? Cross-border transaction means from outside of Malaysia. Okay, what I would say, okay, when we're talking about cross-border, always remember this about e-invoice. E-invoicing, okay, e-invoicing is a Malaysian system that are created for Malaysia. E-invoice is created by Malaysia for Malaysian. Okay, remember this. So if let's say, uh, If let's say, okay, if let's say you're dealing with businesses outside of Malaysia, they do not have to provide you with any type of e-invoice. They only will provide you with the normal invoice per usual. It is your duty to do the self-bill e-invoice for the payment or the money that you made and all. Okay, wait, I have a question. You means the payment we made need to do self-bill and e-invoice? Yes. Yes. Because okay, the thing is the first one, if let's say the person is already working for your company, you do not have to do any e-invoice. Okay? If let's say she's working for you. If let's say she's not working for your company, it's not under your company, you need to see. If let's say she is working for a company and then you're dealing with the company and then she will come. If let's say that is the situation, then e-invoice is needed. If let's say she's not working for any company, she's just a worker that you casually hire to do work for you, you need to do self-bill e-invoice. If our buyer is a foreigner, we also need to do e-invoice without TIN number, not without TIN number. You need to use the general TIN number. Remember when I said earlier, in any situation that you have to produce an e-invoice without a TIN number, you use the general TIN number. Okay? Okay. Alright, remember, in any situation that you have to produce e-invoice without TIN number, please use the general TIN number. Okay, right now, I'm gonna go inside here. Okay, I will give you guys around 1 minute to read through this. So you guys have some understanding and then I'll explain to you guys. Have a read first. Okay, so I hope you guys already read through this. Okay, I'll read another question and then I'll continue. If my supplier are not subjected to issue invoice, do we need to do self-bill invoice? Yes, correct. If you're dealing with someone who do not have to comply with the e-invoicing, you have to do the self-bill e-invoice to show that you have to pay the money or you already paid the money. Okay? Alright. So for cross-border transaction, okay, if let's say you do any international business, okay, if let's say with a supplier or anything, there are two situations when we're talking about the cross-border transaction. You need to look at first what you are importing in. Is it a goods or is it a service? Is it a product or is it a service? If let's say it is a product, okay, when the goods or the product arrive at our custom Malaysia, okay, custom Malaysia, you know, for the Borang K1 clearance, okay, from that date, you have until the end of the second month from that date to do a self-bill e-invoice. Okay, this one I need to write something so that easier for you guys. Wait, if let's say lah, okay, your custom clearance is actually on the 16th of June. 16th of June. So you will have until wait, okay, so like this. From June, you will have the until the end of the second month. Doesn't matter this is 16, 3, 4, whatever the date, you will have until the end of the second month. So first month is July, second month is August. Oh, this is very ugly. Wait. First month is July, second month is August. So you will have until the end of the second month. You see the 31st. So you have until the end of the second month. Doesn't matter what is the date, right? 16, 12, 13, 14, whatever the date, you will have until the end of the second month. This is if let's say you import in is goods or products. If let's say you import in service, okay, for service, you need to see either you make the payment first or you receive the invoice first. Whichever date come first. Okay, you need to see whichever date come first. If let's say you made the payment first, if let's say you made the payment on the same lah, 16th of June, you made the payment 16th of June for a service, you will have until 30 July. 30 July to do a self-bill e-invoice. If let's say you made the payment first, the payment first. If let's say you get the invoice first, same. If let's say you get the invoice in June, whatever the date in June, you still have until the 30th of July. Alright? You need to see which date come first. From that date, you will have to do a self-bill e-invoice. Okay, see this situation. You need to see payment is made on the 29th of September. Okay, but however, the invoice is issued on the 15th of November. So the payment was made first. So when the payment made first, you have 1 month until the end of the next month from September. So you have until the 31st of October to do a self-bill e-invoice. Okay. So this is an example of a self-bill invoice lah. Let's say from foreign country. Okay. Okay, foreign income. How about foreign income? Any money that you receive from outside of Malaysia, doesn't matter it is for profit sharing, dividend, or any type of money, just remember, once you receive that money, do a self-bill e-invoice. Okay. And finally, for e-commerce transaction, always remember our duty. If let's say we're talking about Shopee, Lazada, and so on, whatever uh business that you're doing over there, or however you are paying for buying stuff and so on, you don't have to worry because the platform itself will do the e-invoice. Our duty is to continue to scroll and buy only. Okay? The platform will do everything for you. Okay, for e-commerce. And finally, we'll go to our last and final part, which is to use SQL for e-invoicing. How easy it is actually to use SQL for e-invoicing. Wait, Okay. So, wait, I have a chat over here. Let me see. How about receive invoice from subcon? How about that? What about that? If let's say you receive an invoice from subcon, okay, and then you need if let's say your subcon is also a business, right? And so she or she, sorry, mumbling already. He or her have to do a e-invoice as well, lah, in the form of e-invoice. Okay. Okay, at the end of our receipt, if let's say you're using our system, SQL system, and also post system, at the end of our receipt, we'll have this QR code. This QR code, people can just scan and then request for your e-invoice. You do not have to do that on that time as well. On the spot, you don't have to do because they can scan this one and then request for the e-invoice. Okay? Okay, right now, okay, for existing SQL user, you might already have done this part lah. You already set up your SQL and everything. But however, in this part, I will also show you guys how it is actually to integrate your e-invoicing, my invoice portal with your SQL. Okay. So for the first one is actually you need to do your company profile. Company profile is basically you do put in your name, address, your company details lah basically, and then you press connect to my invoice. Okay. Okay, when you press connect to my invoice, it will automatically go to the my invoice portal. So over here, you will have to put in the name, the client secret, this one, or if let's say you already bought the e-invoicing module with us, this one our support team will help you to do. You don't have to worry. This all one you have to do once only, one time thing. Okay, put in your SQL and then the expiration date you have to put in 3 years lah. So every 3 years you need to redo this. Okay, just to set up your e-invoicing for my invoice portal with your SQL. Okay, so that is all for company profile. And then you need to do maintain customer. Maintain customer is basically for you to build in your customer database like inside the SQL system. This one for existing SQL user, you must have do this already lah. Okay. And finally, it's actually to do maintain stock item. Maintain stock item is basically for you to do your inventory lah. Inventory check inside your SQL. Alright, so your stock will be tally lah all the time. Okay, if let's say you already have done all of this, is you are ready to do your e-invoice already. Okay, for existing SQL user, you must know this is how you actually do your invoices, right? Okay, you just click to whoever you want to do the invoice with, and then just put in whatever he or she bought, and then the prices will come out, auto calculated everything, right? Okay, so how you want to turn this into an e-invoice? Okay, you see down here at number 1 there, my invoice. You just click that and then click submit e-invoice. This one sandbox because this is testing lah. If let's say later on real one don't have sandbox, so just press submit e-invoice. And tada, you see on the left there, this is a summary of your e-invoice. So means with only that one click, your e-invoice is ready. Where are the 55 data fields and all you need to fill in one by one? There is no more. No more. So it means with only that one click, your e-invoice is ready. And you can see on the left side over here, this is your e-invoice already. So with only just one click, that's it. Your e-invoice is ready. The 55 data field is not even that. You don't have to put one by one because our system remembers everything. So you do not have to key in one by one. So with that, I will end our session today. Thank you very much, everyone. So right now we are open for Q&A session. If let's say you have any other question, please let me know in the chat box right now. Okay, so it seems like we don't have any other question. So I will end our session today. Thank you very much, everyone, for joining our session today. No question at all. If we pay salary for staff, need to do invoice. No, you do not have to do any invoice because that is actually under salary. Salary, you do not have to do any invoice. Okay? So, that's all for the question. Oh, I have another question here. Adakah kita perlu buat payment voucher if terima invoice daripada kita punya subcon? Yes, betul. Correct. Betul. That is under payment voucher lah. If pay to our tour guide is working for your company or not? Kalau dia working for your company, not working. Oh, that one you need to do self bill e-invoice. That one you need to do if freelancer, you need to do self bill e-invoice showing that you actually paid that money to the person. They are just like agent, dealers, and distributor. The same concept. Okay? So no other questions. So I will end our session today. Thank you very much, everyone. If let's say you need the slide, just request for us. Give donation all under self-bill e-invoice. All under self-bill e-invoice. Okay? Oh, ada question lagi ya? Kena buat untuk simpanan kita atau berkaitan dengan invoice juga. Untuk simpanan kita. Dan juga if let's say later on our government requested for that, then only we show them. But however, invoice in general, whenever you need to do invoice, like such as you want to show you paid money or you receive money, just do e-invoice, okay? You just do the e-invoice. Alright? So thank you everyone. Bye-bye.